talk about historic BMW saloon cars, and you will almost certainly talk about Laranca Engineering, and this is one of their cars. This is a car prepared by them. They are the absolute doyens of BMW preparation. Interestingly, this was built, as so many historic race cars are now, as a road car, but was actually converted into a racer in 1994 in Germany. So it's kind of got a historic life of its own anyway, because we're talking about, it's been a race car for 25 years. The Neue class, which is what this car is, was probably the beginning of the whole BMW resurgence into motorsport, and we saw that quite a lot with what was going on there. Fabulous car, absolutely race ready. It's a 1965 car, so therefore eligible for most of the series that you'd want to run it in. It looks great, that grey and blue, very much of the period. That's available, and as you can see on the ticket here, that they are talking about £40,000 to £44,000 as being the expected kind of figure that's going to achieve. That's not, by and large, Lotus Cortina money, so you could have an awful lot of fun for some really reasonable kind of things. Moving on from here, we can go across and look at some of the other cars that we have in this Silverstone auctions site. Anybody who was around in the 60s and following sports car racing, your heart will jump a bit when you see this, because it is a Triumph which looks very much like the sort of cars that we saw racing at Le Mans, the Works team that ran 3 cars in period. Now this is actually a 1970 GT6, whereas the Works cars were actually Spitfires, but nonetheless looks the part. It's a race car, completely ready to go, and again looking great. The body is not an original Triumph colour, but for something around about £20,000, you could actually possibly walk away with this car. There are fantastic cars everywhere, absolutely wonderful things. Now here we have a road rally prepared Porsche 356C. It's on the traditional steel wheels. It's got the big lights on the front. It looks absolutely wonderful, and of course road registered and ready to rock. And just look at some of these different plaques that are on the side from the last 20 years and more, but nonetheless superb kind of things that we've got here. A well used but immaculate example, and that you can certainly have a lot of fun in that, as you could in this Elva. Now for anybody who was around in the 60s and following sports car racing, Elva was one of those brands. I mean, it was Elva, it was Chevron, it was Lotus, but this is absolutely one of the ones that you need to look at. Unusually, BMW power in the back. That the Elva 7S, which was the 1964 version of the car, was built to take the BMW engine, when perhaps it wasn't the sexiest engine in the world to have, but nonetheless it had huge success and was very popular as a customer car rather than anything else. And then behind me, well, what have we got here? This is an AMC Javelin. AMC Javelin, I hear you say? We didn't see those racing very much, if at all, in the UK. But this is a tribute car, fair enough, but it's a tribute car to the great Mark Donoghue in the Sunoco livery, red, white and blue, of course, the Star-Spangled Banner, and that this is a race car but was built as a tribute, and it looks absolutely fabulous. And we can see that the price on this is just £25,000 to £30,000. That is a great way to go racing with some really big V8 muscle in front of you. And this is a 1972 Ford Escort Mark I RS 1600 rally car. Ford Escort Mark II, 1965 Sunbeam Tiger Mark I race car, a delicious 1964 Ford Falcon Sprint, 1967 Sunbeam Alpine, Ford Mustang GT350. No auction these days is going to be complete without a Lotus Cortina, and a racing Lotus Cortina at that. Here we have a car which was built for the pre-66 series, and there are several of them, looking absolutely great in the red and gold of Alan Mann Racing. This is really lovely. An orange 1966 Ginetta G4 race car from the very earliest parts of Ginetta. Absolutely lovely. An Austin Healey Sprite Sebring Evocation. And here we have the 1976 Mini Marcos. Mini engine and mechanics in the front, glass fiber body all the way around. 1971 BMW 2002. And when it all goes wrong, what you need to do is to take it home with this 1976 Land Rover recovery vehicle. March, that iconic badge, very much the lettering of the early 70s period, the computer lettering as it was called then. March was an acronym. It was Mosley, Alan Rees, Coker and Hurd, the four protagonists of building March racing cars, and that this is a 703. March built the cars on the basis of saying if it's the 1970 car, then that does the 70, and the 3 was because it was a Formula 3 car. March, of course, famously in their first full year as being a manufacturer, actually produced 5 cars, the 701, for the grid of the first Grand Prix. It was a customer car, you could go out and buy it. This is the 703, which was built for general sale, and as such, probably, if I'm honest, it wasn't the most successful of cars. It was a bit overweight. It was probably a bit of an old design as well, so it wasn't the most successful, but it really gave us an insight into where March was going, and they absolutely became the brand to go to for any sort of particularly single-seater cars. They also built some sports cars as well, and that this is it. It's dripping in history, but nonetheless, yeah, maybe it's not going to be a front runner, but it's going to be an awful lot of fun.